Morning, evening, afternoon, quiff. What's going on? Good early start, frozen camera. All right, let's do this. Very cool. G'day, Ren K Cast. Wow, I wish I had not glued the head on. Will make do, but not great. I do. I do like a challenge. That much is true. I mean, I like a challenge creatively. I wouldn't say I like a challenge around painting my fucking models physically. thought this one was going to be one of my favourites to paint, but I'm already finding this fucking frustrating because of all the bits, all the dangly bits in the way. We'll see if that continues being the case. Oh, I know. I'm devastated. We're so close. See if we can get him over the line. It was quite amusing though. The weird thing about this paint job and the other ones that I've been doing, or the other one I did, I should say, I really have no idea what I'm doing with colour choices. I'm actually just picking colours that are going to create a temperature contrast and a colour contrast. I have no real idea how this is going to look in the end. The other one came out okay. This one's going to be a little bit more aggressive in the colour choices and how we utilise the highlights. Yeah, mostly. I wasn't planning on doing it, but yeah, I just decided to do it. Felt like painting it, so. It's not quite finished. I'm not sure about the rusty weapons yet. And I've got to do these little skull things, but yeah, mostly done. Morning, Tip Top. Hope you're doing well in lockdown, champion. Yeah, I mean, I think most elements are okay. I'm just not sure on the weapons. Like, I feel like they didn't come out all that well. Just in terms of how the rest of the model came together, it's done to pretty high standard for me. And the rusty weapons are just fucking dry brushed. Like, basically, that's my problem with it. Just doesn't look at the same standard as the rest, so I sort of want to maybe push it a little bit, not sure how at this stage. G'day Mini MF, how are you mate? Swings and roundabouts, mate. Take the good with the bad, I guess. Yeah, not really a conscious thing to be like I want to do my Wurmspat different to everyone else. It was more about I'm just keen to start with a red and see how that influences the palette, influences my process. Dub Rock, thank you for following, mate. So we had some good news. Well, some good things happened on Friday. The piece that was missing from my Young Miniatures, a Roman Tribune bust, arrived, which is great news. Because it means once I finish this Wurmspat, we can get into another historical piece, and this time a bust, and yeah, I'm pretty keen to try it. Couldn't agree more with you, Magnus. I've done about 6 of the warbands now, and they've all just been unreal to paint. So, like this guy. They're just great models. I've got the Beastman sitting there to do next, maybe, when I feel like it. Yeah. One thing I've done with all of my Underworlds models and most of my Games Workshop models recently is fill in the bases with a resin. So even though they're plastic, which means they feel like they're not gonna break, they're quite durable. It just adds some heft to the models, which I like. Thanks for the follow, Magnus. Oh, thanks, Tip Top. Well, you'll be going into the draw now, Magnus, to win my walrus. It's painted in the top corner. He's not easily to hand. He's sitting over in my cabinet at the moment, so I can't grab him to show you off, but good luck. Draws next week. What? Fuck, draws in like 6 days. Oh, I changed bots, and I don't think I've set that command up yet. Sorry. It's about the same, mate. About the same as it always is. Bit more of a sedate day planned today, friends, so will hopefully just be a nice relaxing stream with limited people making me sing. So exciting times ahead, friends. We're only a few weeks out from Queensland Model Hobby Expo, which, as you all know, I've been working towards with a lot of my projects recently. So yeah, having that be quite close now is a bit exciting. It's 21st and 22nd of August, so I think that's about 4 weeks away. At this point in time, I've got 15 entries that I've submitted, but I'm hoping we can knock over another 5 or so, with this being one of them. Get to a nice round 20. That'd be good. So the main projects that I'm taking is obviously the dioramas, Camelot, Icewind Dale, and then the Wizard of Oz. They're all going to Queensland Model Hobby Expo. Then I've got a number of 75mm figures. So we've got Maddox, the Wind Rider, and the twins that I did the box art for Ouroboros Miniatures. And then we're also going to take a large chunk of busts. So the 2 Black Sun busts that I did earlier in the year, Savage Beauty and the Old Barbarian. And then there's some wargaming figures. I'm going to enter the Dragon King. Get pun expected. What's happening, champion? Hope you're doing well, mate. How did your stream go today? What did you paint or do? Necromancer. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the subscription. Maybe I should go and get the walrus out of the cabinet, so I can show people what they're signing up for. 4-hour mark, mate. I think I've only painted for 4 hours for 4 hours once, and that was when I did my 6-hour stream. I didn't have any problems with hand cramps, but I wanted to do other things. So kudos to you. Yep. I'll just grab the walrus. I'm just going to grab a glass of water as well. Stand by. Here's the walrus. Here's what you can win with a subscription. Cool guy. Here's what we're painting next. This guy. Yeah. He should be fun. I hope so. I hope everyone wins. So, in case you hadn't figured out, I'm not going for ultra smooth on these guys, but I am trying to soften my blends and create more transitions than I normally would. So it's kind of an interesting challenge for myself, creating more transitions and more blends whilst retaining that rough, sketchy look. Oh, thanks, Dubrock. Good luck, mate. I hope you win. Good question. The answer is it depends what I'm trying to do. So sometimes I want to create a smoother transition from one color to another. Sometimes I want to add shadows. Sometimes I want to add highlights or lights. And so the approach towards G'day Arnold, to where I'm targeting the airbrush is a little bit more specific. Other times I just want to refine the whole blends, transitions, and so that will be something that I target everything with the airbrush. So it depends on what you're doing. G'day Durstromman is the answer. broadly speaking, most of the time, it is a targeted glaze where I'd angle the brush and hit only specific areas. But it depends, as I said, what I'm trying to achieve. As an example, what I'm about to do here is try and target the slightly raised areas with this colour that I'm about to spray, but it is going to also catch some of the other sections, so, and that's okay. Absolutely, mate. Always welcome. You rated me, Carl. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Post nude pictures of yourself if you want. I don't think that's something I'd recommend, given that it's probably against Twitch terms of service, but that's how much I care about you. Let's have a look at what Ryan worked on during his stream. Whilst we wait for that to dry. A little thin layer of airbrushing. So 4 hours you did her in. Is that right? Ooh. It's your white speaker. Kingdom Death. Very cool, mate. Super cool. Go you. just want to reintroduce a little bit of this red magenta colour back into the lower part of the folds. So we're just going to do a very, very dilute glaze. And then we'll also probably just do a bit of contrast paint of some colour. Maybe voluminous pink actually. So, just as from a technical perspective, one of the things I'm trying to do here is paint this lower half of the cloak. The best way to do that is not to aim at the cloak, it's actually to aim at the ground. And what you get then is you get the overspray from the cone-shaped spray of the airbrush catching on those areas by spraying the ground. So, it's just a very simple simple thing to do, but a little bit unintuitive if you haven't done airbrushing much before. Oh no, Frog Jim. Who are you smelling the raid from? Who do I need to look out? Duck and colour. I didn't even check who was on today actually. Good mate, very good. Oh, g'day Phoenix. Ugly. How are you, mate? What's been going on? Please, Sphila, there's nothing I'd like more than for you people to come in here and give me shit. Let's do a quick shout out for the Phoenix, the king. G'day. Loopy, Peckish Fox, Forks, what's happening, friends? I've just started painting these chaps. They're the Wurmspat from Games Workshop, Underworlds. So, trying to do something a bit different. Yeah, had a haircut. And yeah, just try and do something a bit different. I did just start, mate. What do you want me to do? Started it last stream. I did that guy last stream. I'm doing this guy this stream. I've only been painting for what, 40 minutes on this guy, so. Well, everything I do, I show you how to do it. That's what I'm here for, mate. That's what I'm teaching for. I mean, I have done classes, but my YouTube channel has videos on my process. Tell you the absolute concrete way to get quicker is to practice and paint more. So do that, you'll get quicker. Yes, as Spieler says, we're not in fuck spiders. Let's get it done. Oh, I forgot, we got a new fucking emote. Yes. Yes. It's baby boy. Little Hugo emotes. What a champion. Yeah. How good. Yeah, that's the challenge, mate. That's the challenge for most of us, actually. Getting good at painting requires sacrifice of some other aspect of your life. Time away from family, time away from work, time away from TV, etc. And that's a sacrifice that not everyone's willing to make. So. I, of course, have no children, no life, aside from painting, so it's easy for me to enjoy painting. Indeed. Matthew White Buress has subscribed to me on YouTube. Thanks, buddy. You're a legend, mate. No, thank you. Have a good time. You don't need to apologise. Just fucking go. Go sleep. Toriel Black, thank you for following. MK Contra, thank you for following. Maverick, g'day. Topolus, he's not at 100, he's like 86 or something. Fucking, it's so frustrating. We'll get there. It'll happen. Probably. No, I'm confident it'll get there. We've all just got to work hard. Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, please, I do indeed. Night, folks. So just to explain what the fuck's going on, I can't do a shout out. Won't let me do a shout out that way. It's this guy. Hang on, let me just get a fucking link. That was dumb. Great dude, the Topolus. There you go. So, to summarise what's going on, Topolus literally just hit 50 followers the other day, and which means he's able to be an affiliate. An exciting moment for him. And so I was on his stream whilst that happened. G'day, Menzak Miniatures, thank you. Or M and Zach Miniatures, whichever it is. So while we were there, we were talking to him. He's like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do a celebratory stream for becoming an affiliate, blah blah blah." And his missus was on there, Anna. She's a classic, yeah. And they agreed that if he got to 100 followers, that they'd do a hot tub stream together, him and his misso. So I'm in. Let's go, Top. Get in there, hot tub stream while you paint toy soldiers. And your misso's there as well. It's all great stuff. I'm a big fan. this green, looking that vibrant, so that's a very good question, and it's one that I can answer, but it might be a little bit involved an answer, so bear with me whilst I muddle my way through. Every colour has several properties. The first colour is what we call a hue, and that just basically tells you where it sits on the colour wheel. You know, green, red, blue, etc. That's the hue or the colour itself. So that's the easy part, right? Everyone's like, I want to paint this green, so you just pick a green and you paint it. The problem is when we're painting miniatures, what we're trying to achieve is a thing called contrast, because that's what creates visual interest in your models. Contrast in the dictionary is defined as the juxtaposition of strikingly different elements, by the way. And so the way we create contrast is by increasing the value. And so the value is the second property of colours that we paint with. That's also called brightness. G'day Valendar the Red. Luminance. A couple of different names depending on where you go and who you talk to. I call it value. So the value is what generally, when we talk about painting, what we're trying to achieve is a value contrast, a shift from light to dark. Correct, and that's the third component. So when you increase the value, what you're actually doing is you're adding white or black, and the third property of colour is the saturation. So saturation is different from value, because saturation just has to do with how much grey is in your colour. And yeah, you would probably call saturation vibrancy. This is how grey the colour is. So this colour that I'm working with here is a green, right? It's called Middlestone, but it's a green with a lot of grey in it. So this is a desaturated green. This colour, for example, is a more saturated yellow-green. So when you're painting a model, and you're selecting colours, you have to factor in all three of those elements. Now this sounds obvious, but it's a real challenge when you are creating value shift. You are also desaturating the colour. So the reason I'm explaining all this, thank you Valendar the Red for following. The reason I'm explaining all this is to answer your question. How is that green so vibrant? The green is so vibrant because there is a very saturated colour here, and there is a desaturated colour here. There is a value shift from here to here. But the key part of answering your question is this value is probably a dark colour. So I'd talk about a thing called a value scale. So if you think about dark being the darkest colour, it sits at a 0 or a 1 on the value scale, and 10 being the brightest, so white. This colour, for example, is probably like a 2 or a 3. And this colour is probably like a 6 or a 7. So I've got a value shift, right, which creates a contrast between those two things. Thanks, mate. We've got a saturation shift because we've got a greyish colour followed by a pure, more intense colour. And then we've also got, as Topless, as Loopy said, we've got a shift from purple/red into green. So this here has a intense look because it's not a 10 on the value scale. It's not all the way up to white. It's like a 6 or a 7. And so it's a green that doesn't have a lot of white in it, but it still looks intense and saturated and contrasts with this because this is a lower value. So thinking about colours like green or red or etc., the easiest way to make a colour look more vibrant and more saturated and more intense is to not take it to a 10 on the value scale, because what that does is that creates a value shift, but it won't create an intense colour. So you use like a 6 or a 7 on the value scale, so you've still got an intense colour, and then you create contrast by shading down the bottom. So that is the answer to your question in very, very, very explanatory terms. Probably didn't need it. It will take you a fair while to be able to manipulate all three of those elements, and I think, hand over my heart, there's still times when I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know how to do it. Like I look at, so if you want to see someone who's an absolute maestro of those three things, if you go and look at Mark Masklins on Instagram, his ability to create contrast utilizing mostly just saturation, it blows my mind. He is just incredible. So he's someone who just has much more control than I do over his decision making. I just do stuff because it's fun and looks cool. He just makes great decisions. So yeah, it will take you a while to be able to manipulate all of those elements and understand what you're doing. Yeah, please share. Go Plank. Feel free to share your stuff in here, Valendar. We like sharing things. Yep. When you talk about that value scale, what you don't want to see is every area on the model going from a 0, so like the darkest black, to a 10, the white. Because what you're going to have then is a lack of contrast across the whole piece. So you need to be thinking about value contrast and the other sorts of contrast across the whole piece and not just across each individual volume or element on the model. So the best way to think about that, if you have a look at this, I'm planning on taking this robe section that I'm painting right now up to pretty bright, almost a white colour, whereas I'm not going to add any more to this. So you've got a contrast from this section, which is going to be bright, and it's going to sit on the value scale from probably about a 5, a mid-tone, all the way up to probably an 8 or a 9, whereas this, as we discussed, is like a 3 to a 6. So you're going to have the contrast not just in each individual section, but the contrast of these two volumes. So it's a convoluted answer about how to make the green look more vibrant, because it's not just as simple as pick this colour. It has to do with the decision making around all of those other aspects that I just talked about. So there you go. Lessons with Deno. Great stuff. Topolus, very close to 100, mate. Good. What do you think you'll wear for your hot tub stream that you agreed to on film? That's the theory. That's the theory behind it. But there's also a technique behind what I do, which is slightly different to the way some other painters do things that will create a lot of intensity, and that is glazing over the top of a high value colour. Indeed, Valendar. So the story behind these chaps is that they're very rotten, etc. diseased, if you're not familiar with Nurgle, which is these guys. And so I want them to look rough and beaten up and worn down and so forth. So yeah, I'm using a lot of strokes intentionally so that we have texture and again contrast between textured and smooth. The pink base coat is very good. Cool. You can never be sure, mate. Does this look different in real life versus on the screen? A little bit, I guess. You should probably ask. There's people in the chat who've actually bought my models, and they can probably. Actually, I don't know if there is. Oh, g'day, Sea Minerals. G'day, Cobra Snake. Thanks. It does to me look a little bit different in the flesh. I mean, this is a 4K camera, and it's still different. It still sharpens and catches details differently to how it looks in the flesh, I believe. Yeah, I saw your photo of it actually. I was thinking to myself, fuck me, when did this guy get good? The only one that I have at the moment that is not sold is the Crusader. I've even priced it. No one's expressed any interest, mate, because it's a fucking paint job that I did in record time. I haven't tried to sell it. No, I haven't missed anything I painted. At all. Yep, Camelot has indeed sold. What is up with that fucking Crusader on Instagram, eh? Cracks me up. Yeah, that's my expectation as well, mate. I don't paint a lot of historical stuff, and so the likelihood that I have a cult following of historical painters is pretty small. It's a funny story. Like, I painted this Crusader model, and I did it on stream. I think it took me a stream and a half, something. Yeah, the one with the conical helmet, and I posted my finished pictures of it on Instagram, and it got like 5,000 likes, and Camelot only got 4,500. So there's a difference of about, I don't know, 2 months worth of work versus a day and a half, or I think it was about 5 hours all up, or 4 hours. The 4 hour work got more likes than the 2 month work. So yeah. Frog Jim. just blows my mind. What can I speak for you, Frog Jim? You know, I was thinking about that, right? Because we were watching MasterChef one time, my girlfriend and I, and on MasterChef, I love MasterChef, it's great. They do this thing where they get a professional chef in and people have to follow along. And I was like, how good would it be if I just did that? I was like, okay, so you're going to grab this colour and then just like, bang, 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 and smash it out and see how many people can actually follow along. It'd be interesting. I'm not sure. If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. No, I can't. Because I just keep thinking about singing it like the Spice Girls. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. I did delete your comment, didn't I? Actually, yeah. No, what did you say? You said something, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm deleting that." It might have been something offensive. It wasn't worth it at all. If you want to be my lover. You have got to give. Well, that's the way it is. That's awful, and I'm sorry. Yes, wine red indeed. Wine red indeed. And I still can't really give you an explanation as to why I chose to do that. It just was something I haven't done before. So this is what he looks like. This is what they look like at the start. Which looks mad, by the way. I'm going to give this guy, I don't know what I'm going to do with him, actually. It's a problem for a future trend to worry about. I think it's pretty similar to Murderous Magenta. I'm not sure. What do you think about that? Now you know how I feel. We may do a little bit of airbrushing on this little section here, I think. Okay, Jim. Does the underpainting make a difference? I'm not sure, mate. I feel like there's been models that I've painted where it really has. Night pulley. And then there's been models where I've painted where it hasn't made a single iota of difference. And that's dependent on the technique. And yeah, past Trent solved the Camelot shipping problem indeed. It is no longer a problem. Yeah, we'll just do a little bit of airbrushing on this cloak, just to smooth out this a little bit. Yeah, it's all about the technique, right? If you're leaving some of the colour showing, then I think there's value in it. And if you're not leaving some of the colour showing, then yeah, I struggle to believe that it makes a difference. As you can see, I'm trying to leave some of that magenta everywhere. And the same with this, there's magenta just about everywhere on these colours. You know, in the armour there's magenta there, there's magenta in the under, you know, highlights the skin, there's magenta in here, there's even magenta in the leather, although not as much. So, trying to utilise that magenta on these models, but I think reflecting back on that one versus this one, I don't think I've done as good a job on that one as I have on this one. So, alright, let's just do a quick smidge of that. Oh, Arnold, and I was thinking to myself the other night, I'm not happy with those. I might change those because they just look dry brushed. Alright, so again we're just going to airbrush and we're going to try and catch the mostly raised areas here. Just going to create a little bit of softness in the transitions. We still have that texture. That, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of Volupus Pink, I think. So I rewatched Battlestar Galactica in the last few weeks. First time I'd ever watched it was earlier in the year. Had a great time, loved it. Thought the fourth season was a bit weak compared to the previous ones. But I thought I would decide to rewatch it this last few weeks. I was on holiday. And I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. The most recent one, 2000, whatever it was, 4 to 2008 or something, I can't remember. When it was released, 2009 maybe, I don't know. But it's interesting re-watching it. I'm one of those people who likes re-watching shows and repeating things. No. Yeah, the thing I observed on that rewatch was I enjoy watching things a second time more than I like watching them the first time, because when I'm watching it for the first time, I'm just like, you don't get to appreciate the nuances, the decision making, the acting as much, because you're just trying to take in all of the story. So this time through, I was focused a bit more on the acting and the writing and the decision making than I was previously. And it just felt like a really, really, really strong, well put together show. Which I don't think I noticed the first time through as much. Mr. Doom! Thanks for following, mate. Yeah, it's probably how it should be, but it's just an observation. Thank you for hosting Rosen's Metal. Yeah. Yeah. And again, speaking retrospectively, because I wasn't a person who watched the show initially, you could tell that they had a concrete plan from start to finish. Even if some of those elements may have changed a little bit, they had a clear direction about what they were going to have as an endpoint. So yeah, it was good. Lost is one I think I watched about halfway through the first season, and then I was like, oh, I'm done. I scoop. Game of Thrones, unfortunately, didn't have the quality in the last few seasons, because they didn't have the quality of source material to work from, and they had budgetary constraints, which meant them they couldn't finish it probably the way it deserved to be finished. So what was the go with Lost in the end? Was it they were all like dead? Yeah, right. Fair enough. Seems fine. Yeah, what was the go with the fucking polar bears, eh? What was the go with all the buttons? All those fucking buttons, numbers and shit. I don't want that colour yet. Anyway, it was fine. I enjoyed the very short experience I had with it. I didn't miss it. Night Spiller. So I've got to decide what I'm going to start watching next. I used to watch a lot more TV half-heartedly because I'd have it on while I was painting. These days I don't do that as much because if I'm painting a lot of the time I'll be streaming, so you can't really watch TV while that's going on. But yeah, I'd like to start watching something new. Early Contenders is continuing The Others. My girlfriend's lost interest in The Others, which was that show done by Joss Whedon about Victorian England with women with superpowers. I think it was called The Others. Shadow and Bone on Netflix. The Boys. Yeah, my girlfriend watched it. It's not really up my alley, probably. A lot of drug taking. The Expanse is a good shout. It's been on the list for a while. Very good shout. The challenge for me, and I think I've talked about this on the stream before, so apologise if you've heard this before, is watching a TV show like The Expanse or whatever, a new show. There's a time investment involved in that. You have to be willing to, pour plenty of time and effort into watching it. And I don't have to do that with shows that I've watched before. So I can just half-ass it and watch it and not really watch it versus starting something new. Which sounds dumb. But like I could quite happily just put on Buffy and rewatch Buffy from season 1 all the way. Well, probably I'd skip season 1. It sucks. Season 2 onwards is where it starts to get good. On this figure, in general, Maverick, or yeah, it's just a quality show. I've done some glazing. I just did airbrush glazing just then with my airbrush, where I went through and smoothed out this sort of transition. But I'll continue to. The way my process works is it's very iterative. So I won't be like, I follow this step where I go shadow, highlight, glaze, done. I'll just keep tweaking back and forth, glazing, adding highlights, adding shadows, more glazing, etc., etc. So to answer your question, yeah, I've done some glazing on this area here. And I'll probably continue to do more glazing as we progress, just based on what I feel like it needs at any given time. So did you want me to demonstrate some glazing, or? Okay, Sleepy Slang. Yeah, this technique that I'm using with a lot of the sketches and stuff is normally how I do leathers a lot of the time. yeah, that's a good way of describing it, Maverick. It's all about the result instead of the process. Cool. So let's do some glazing on this green. So the best way to describe some, topless, great one. The best way to explain glazing is to just show you a pretty stark transition, right? So let's just put this here. So that's a pretty, see how zoomy we can go. Not that zoomy. There we go. So here we've got a pretty sharp line between these two colours. So when we're glazing, what we're going to do is take usually a mixture of the two colours you're trying to blend between. So here it's a little bit of turquoise and a little bit of this bright green, and we're going to dilute the colour down quite significantly. So to show you on my thumb, you can barely see the colour on there. And if you have a look at my brush, it doesn't look like there's anything on the bristles. So there's two things that are important. The first is making sure that you wipe the brush mostly off. You don't want to wipe it off on a dry piece of paper towel or anything like that, because what that'll do is that'll dry out the paint. You want the paint to be moist. The second thing you want to do is the direction of the stroke. So what we want to do is take the brush from outside the area into the area. So the reason we're doing that, the capillary action from the paintbrush will take will put most amount of pigment on the model at the area you leave. You take your brush off, not where you put your brush down. So you can see that if you use a little bit of paint and paint a bit of paper. What will happen is you'll see there's more pigment collecting at the area where you take your brush off. So the direction of the strokes that I'm using here is all putting the brush on the model, moving it towards the direction of the lighter section, and then taking the brush off. So I'm intentionally slowing it down so you can see what's happening, but I normally do this much quicker. So what you're doing is you're distributing pigment unevenly. So because you've diluted the paint pretty significantly, what you're getting is random pigments getting distributed in that area, which creates the transition. It's just like zooming in on a newspaper. You can see all the little dots. So you're creating a smooth transition between the two areas by using diluted paint. So I'll show you in a quicker example on here. Alright, so there's a pretty rough area. We'll just wait for that to dry and then we'll come back to it. Have I done a good job explaining it? I'm not sure I've done a good job explaining it. Maybe I can try again. So again, we're taking a dilute colour, and we're going to take from out in. And because it's super dilute, sometimes you'll need to do a few layers. and normally you do it over a lot of areas, so you don't have to wait for a section to dry, because as you can see, that's still not dry. So the technique glazing in general is just about using really dilute paint to basically trick your eyes into thinking that there is a transition there, when there's not. There's just lots of little pigment distributed unevenly, which creates the effect. And it's a very forgiving technique, because you're working with such dilute paint. There's no immediate shift, but you can speed it up by using an airbrush. So the airbrush does a similar thing. So we're looking at this at pretty close up, so you can see all of the details and all of this stuff. You can do it both ways. Yeah, you can absolutely do it both ways. It doesn't really make a difference. The most important part, as I said, is if you go from this spot to here and you're using a lighter color, then what happens when you take your brush away is the excess pigment collects around this space, and you get this weird tide mark type look. Whereas if you go from here into here, when you take your brush off, the excess pigment collects in an area where it's already that color, and so you don't see that transitional change. So if you were going from shadow from light to shadow, you just need to reverse your stuff and go from the mid-tone into the shadow, so that when you're taking your brush off, it's in the shadow area. Anyway, we shall proceed. I think that is enough of an explanation of that technique. It's not a technique that should make up the majority of your painting, in my opinion. Some people will do glazing for pretty much everything. You'll have a lack of intensity, a lack of power in your colours, because you're working with such dilute colours. I much prefer to work with opaque layers and then use the glazing to just soften your transitions. Indeed, Valendar, you can have a variety of challenges. Magnus, I haven't used oils much at all. I think they're a interesting, cool technique, material, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to try and learn how to do oils until I feel like I've learned how to do acrylics. if you know what I mean. It's just another, there's so many techniques and things you can learn with acrylics that I haven't even gotten good at yet. Adding oils into the mix just feels like it's adding more stuff to learn. Yes, the old non-metallic metals. Another aspect of things that I'm learning. Good night, sea minerals. Sleep tight. Thanks, mate. I hope when we're all finished, the warband will look pretty cool together. Okay, broadside. What's going on, champion? You're in lockdown, aren't you? Socks. Are you not? That's right. I'm coming out your neck of the woods in 4 weeks' time for Queensland Model Hobby Expo. It's been held in Ipswich this year. Previous years it was in Redbank. Moved to Ipswich. Very excited. It's the Ipswich Convention Centre or something like that. I'm not sure. Worry about that when I have to fucking go there. Yeah. Apparently there's also a race on that weekend, V8 Supercars race. So I hope it doesn't take a fucking age to get there. For the Hera Models one. Hey, those models shipped, by the way. How exciting is that? Hera Models. So we may even be starting that in the next month. Very excited. I haven't really got any clear ideas about composition yet. I want to have a look at the I'll have a look at the models when they arrive, and then I'll decide. The QMHE or Hera models. Just check out the Facebook page, mate. Most of the stuff's on there anyway. You should do it topless. I haven't sent it yet, mate. I'm not sending it until after QMHE. I'm going to take it to that event. So people going to QMHE will be able to see Camelot in the flesh. But yeah, just after QMHE, I'll send it off then. Someone on the stream told me, yeah, the Crusader's going as well, mate, yes. There's a lot of historical categories that I like to enter. It's the main reason I painted the Crusader, so I could enter something in the historical categories. I'm actually getting urges to try and paint like a tank or a helicopter or fucking aeroplane or something. I've never done it. It'd be interesting to try. Yeah. Do you know the thing that stops me is every time I fucking think about doing it, I'd like to paint one. I just don't think I'd want to assemble one. I don't think I'll be painting any 40k, no. I mean, I suppose I could. The 40k models don't grab me as much as the AOS models, though. Just not interested. Yeah, they do. It's a pretty big convention for Australia, anyway. I think they get about 25,000 people there across the 3 days. I think that's the numbers. Or maybe I'm getting mixed up with CanCon. Maybe it's 10,000 over the 3 days, and CanCon was 25. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's certainly quite big for what it is. Yeah, they have traders and stalls and a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I don't think you can enter a 40k tank in the tanks category, mate. It's supposed to be like specific tanks. Probably. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going to do with that guy. I haven't even thought about him yet. He's a part of the base, so I'll do him when I do the base. Nurgle cat, dancing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. He is the Nurgle cat. Yeah, there's a lot of techniques that I would need to learn. Oil painting, oil washes, they tend to use a lot of those. One of the reasons I like going to QMH and entering in those historical categories though is like almost challenging the dynamics, the status quo. I like doing things in a way that conventionally isn't done and seeing how they respond. Sometimes it works, sometimes it backfires. G'day, Grugy. There's certainly a learning curve with oils, but I think the actual processes and so forth that you do, they're a lot more forgiving, for sure. From my observations of people who've used oils. There is one very, very simple reason why I have not really invested in oils other than the ones I've already discussed, and that is the time. I'm not prepared to wait for my models. Alright. Going okay, I think, here, friends. I'm enjoying this. Sort of. What colour to do? The horny things on his head. I'm not sure. Do you mean the contrast paints, what medium they use? I don't think it's rocket science, mate. I think it's just a similar medium to what I use, the matte medium and the sealant and the dry and retarder and that sort of stuff. There's people who've done videos on how to make contrast paints. Making your own. Goobertown did one, I think, on how to make your own contrast paints. I'm a big fan of the products, mate. Use them all the time. The only reason why you wouldn't pay that money is because you don't want to spend that much money on Games Workshop products or the products that you can make elsewhere. I think what you get from them is a lot of really intense, interesting colours. And yeah, you could mix that for yourself, but the amount of effort you'd put into mixing up some of those colours, it's just like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll just pay. Let's pay the fucking... Pay that man his money. Young Matt Damon. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I wonder how it holds up these days. Thank you, Rapid Transit. Alright, let's just check. Do these two look like they belong to the same team? Not really at the moment. Yeah, there's two good ones. Nasdreg yellow, which is like a dirty yellow. I use that a lot for gold and stuff. And then there's also this one, which is Iandon yellow, I think. Yep, Iandon yellow. It's a much more vibrant yellow, less sort of dirty. And I usually mix that with other contrast paints to create a brighter, more vibrant colour. Pay that man his money. I did, mate, yes. Sharpened up a bit. Trying to convince my girlfriend I'm attractive. It didn't work. She still thinks I got a head like a drop pie. Thank you, mate. Commissar Crazy. Thanks for following, mate. So crazy. Ah, thank you. Yes, Nerdle is indeed pleased. G'day, Ramascara. What's happening? A couple of new people on the chat right now, so I'm just going to throw a little video up. This is actually more for Gregory than anyone else, so I know how much he loves this video. This is what I normally paint. This is what I've been painting recently. Spamalot. I want to push the pram a lot. Thank you for following Bruise Games Rides. That's 450 millimeters across in a circle. It's very, very good. Thank you, Commissar Crazy. That's what I normally do. I like to mix things up. I paint busts and display figures and Games Workshop models and anything I feel like painting. But I think that's what I like to do most of the time, stuff like that. I like FER Miniatures. I've painted a number of their figures. If you've got a photo of that, mate, feel free to chuck it in the chat. Or not. Please yourself. Gregory. Commissar Crazy, just keep on practicing, mate. That's all it is. Practice, practice, practice. I have no doubt you'll be at my level very quickly. I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me. Hanging on the passenger side of my best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. Scrub is a guy that thinks he's fine, also known as a buster. Always thinking about what he's at, just sits on his something, so no. I don't want your number, no. I don't want to give you mine, and no. Don't want none of your time, no. I don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me. See you, Frog Jim. I haven't thought about that song in forever, Gregory. You come up with some bangers, mate, you do. Ramascara, generally you have to spend points. if you spend enough time on my channel, you can accumulate channel points and make me sing songs. But I very much like that song, so I'm going to choose to sing it anyway. I like that song a lot. If you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, I'm the love that you search for. Come with me and escape. That's a good point, Gregory. Clear about expectation setting, isn't it? Good night from Spain, Ramasquera. Good night, mate. Sleep well. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, I'm the love that you search for. Come with me and escape. It was my own lovely lady, and she said, "Oh, it's you." It's up the top, champion. I'm not very tech savvy, so I don't have many cool things set up, but just Google the name that's up the top of the chat, at the top of the picture. That's my grams. I should set up some of that stuff. I keep hoping that Flick will set it up for me. Don't tell him. If I complain enough, he'll just do it for me. He is a Twitch affiliate. He's a superstar. I wish I knew how he figured out all that stuff. They don't give you a little handbook that says, here's how you fucking set up X, Y, Z. Topless must just be a tech wizard. Ramasquera, I am from Brisbane in Australia. We have some people in here from Seattle, from Portland, and a couple of friends from Sydney. A dude from Ipswich in Brisbane. Germany, there you go. Malaysia, cool. Technically, that's not true. I can do it as well. She says, oh, it's you. Now, Gregory, you know, I've never said that word in my streams. I may be quite vocal about its usage outside of the internet, but I'm trying to keep it PG in here. Well, not really PG, I suppose. I'll just try not to use that word because I know people are offended by it. Mostly people like you, Americans, Gregory. I have not. That's true, Topolis. That's very true. No, I'm not suggesting you have to remove it. Just saying I shan't be using it. Pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. I am not into yoga, I am into champagne. Oof, well, I'll make the following recommendations. How big is the diorama you're planning on making? First recommendation would be plan a lot. Probably I'd suggest plan more than I did. Yeah, draw a picture. I just drew one picture and then I was like, cool, let's go. My second piece of advice is wait until you've got the models before you start conceptualizing and bringing everything together. if you're doing a big diorama, you need to remember the detail, contrast. So unfortunately, when you take a model like this model, which is the size of my thumb or whatever, the level of detail on this model is extreme. And when you put this model onto a very big piece of scenery, a very big scenery element, you create a very obvious contrast between the two, and it's not in a positive way. Sometimes you want to create contrast, but in this instance what you find is it doesn't look very good because you've got such a big contrast between the amount of detail on the model and the amount of detail on your diorama. It's one of the biggest problems with big dioramas is, and my Camelot has the same problem. There's big areas of it where it's just rocks, and there should be more detail because the level of detail on this, and on those models, you need to fill the same level of detail, otherwise it looks incorrect. It doesn't look like you've got elements existing in the same environment. And probably the trickiest one is actually being able to stay motivated towards painting for the whole period of time, or continuing the process after you've lost that enthusiasm, because it always happens. You start out a project full of enthusiasm and everything's going really well and you've got new stuff coming and you're trying new things and it's all looking great, and then inevitably that level of enthusiasm dies down. Being able to find a way to stay motivated and continue working on it. The way that I approach it is by breaking it down into sections and sticking to a section until I felt like I was struggling, and then I moved to a new section. But there's no easy answer for that. It's tricky. Yeah, that'll do it. Imagine expanding that out over a period of 2 months. That feeling of like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. A scoop. Yeah, you'll just get into trouble if you're trying to do a big scene with limited models, unless you're very good at building scenery. Ah, cool. Well, that'll be awesome. It'll just be hard. Yep, the details is the hard part. G'day, Moo. Moo. What's going on, champion? Green's my favourite colour probably to paint with, certainly. Good on you, mate. Always not fuck spiders, that's the go. Get inside, have a go. Don't fuck about. Oh, very rarely, mate. I can't remember the last time I saw a spider. For real. Couldn't tell you. It was ages ago. And so I'm winning with high hopes. So we've got a pretty clear direction for the next few streams, which is good. Sort of came into stream last week on Wednesday, going, "What the fuck am I going to do? I don't really know what I'm going to do." Yeah, no, now we're good. We got that Young Miniatures bust turned up, the part that was missing, so that's great. We've got these chaps which we can focus on, which is great. Now we've also got Tank Commander, Nuts Planets, and yeah, by that time it'll probably be Queensland Model Hobby Expo, and we'll start thinking about something else. Maybe even the Hera Models diorama. We might give that a little bit of time before we get stuck into that, though. We also might not. Maybe very excited about the models. Yeah, good question, Topolus. The Malifaux streams, we're doing some test streams very soon for them, which probably won't be live for everyone, just to make sure all the setups work and what have you. My first stream is scheduled for late in August. So, yeah, probably expecting... I think it's actually the last weekend in August I set myself up for. I'm aiming to do one stream a month to begin with, and then I'll see how I'm travelling, and if I'm enjoying it, then we might increase that. the time slot is a bit of a challenge for me. No, so it'll be separate. So part of the frustrating thing for me a little bit is that there's got to be someone on the other end of the line, technically speaking, I suppose, to turn on the stream, because I'm basically connecting to their stream from my computer. There's got to be someone on the other end to set me up. So I can't stream the normal time I would like to stream because that's midnight for Americans. So the times I'm going to be streaming will actually be around 8 AM American time, I believe, or depending on where you are in America, I suppose. So it'll be about 9:30 PM my time that I'll be starting my stream, which is obviously quite late for me. Normally I start my stream about 6:30. Good night, Ramaskira. Thank you. Enjoy. Hope to see you again. I normally start my stream about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I normally finish 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'm going to be starting my stream at 9:30, which will be a challenge for me. But we'll figure it out. It's one of the reasons why we're doing a couple of test streams and so forth, just to see if there's some way that we can do it so that I'm not required to connect somewhere, or who knows, we'll find out. But yeah, end of August. So should everything go to plan. And I think we'll start with just painting the little warband of chaps. Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure out a way that works for everyone. They seem to be pretty cool people from my experiences with them thus far. Yeah, I wouldn't give out my login details to a random on the internet, particularly one from Australia, mate. They've come and watched my stream before, so they know what I'm like too. They're always like, oh, this guy's fucking just swearing his head off, and can't trust them. Australians. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to paint something like completely different. It was Agatha all along. Just need to take this out. Oh yeah, that was pretty good. What to do? to take the green down a bit, maybe. We'll bring this green up a bit. Ah, thanks, Foxalotl. What a champion. That was Agatha all along. I both alternately love and hate Games Workshop's sculpted bases. I love them because the shapes of the rocks, the shapes that are on there are always so interesting to paint. They're always really cool. I hate them because they just have too much detail. There's little witchetty grubs climbing around on this fucking base. Calm down. I don't want to paint fucking witchetty grubs. Games Workshop. Witchetty grubs are actually an Australian thing. I just realised I don't know if everyone has those or is aware of what I'm talking about. Just they're little grubs. But the native people in Australia actually just eat them. Just pop them in your gob. Used to eat them, I suppose. My knowledge of modern Indigenous Australian culture is quite limited. So haha, yeah, we'll paint him to be little Hugo. The little buff head. Oh, he's a funny kid, little Hugo. He spent yesterday hanging out with us on the couch, just exhausted, having a sleep. He doesn't like it when I'm going, when I leave my girlfriend's house. He hates it. Well, we are coming up on the end of the stream, friends. It's been a pretty fun morning, actually, painting this little chap. Great little figure. The Beastman. Yeah, I've got the Beastman here. Oh, the Beastman. They're great. I might even do them, you know, at some point on stream. Good question, Topolus. Well, good question if you're interested in me as a human being. Probably an uninteresting question if you're not. But I appreciate the question. So, because I am interested in me as a human being, I think I'm great. Yeah, so my normal tradition is to just trundle over to the shoppos. I live just across the road from a very big shopping centre. So I'm just going to go over there and grab some stuff to make dinner with. I'm going to cook myself a dinner tonight. Unusual for me on a Sunday. But I'm just going to cook myself probably just a steak, some vegetables. But I'm going to grab some oportos, which is Portuguese chicken, for lunch. Going to enjoy that. And then I'll come home, pick a new television show to watch probably. There's a bit of footy on this afternoon, 2 games of footy, rugby league, so I'll probably watch some of that. I'm working on my board game at the moment. Got a few things I want to test out today. That I'll do, and then I might throw up. This is going to be a question that I'm going to ask you. I already know what you're going to say, but maybe everyone else can share some perspectives. But I've been really keen recently to record a Kingdom Death campaign for my YouTube channel. Because I feel like I've done a fair bit of content for my painting and I do my streams, but I haven't really done a lot of content showcasing my board gaming, other than the occasional Spirit Island / Gloomhaven stuff on here, and it's something I'm just as passionate about as my painting. So yeah, I was thinking about setting up my gear over at my board games desk and recording some games of Kingdom Death and doing a campaign. We'll see. We'll see if I decide to do that. There's a few things preventing me from just going and starting it straight away. The first is that it would require me to take my camera setup back and forth between the 2 spaces. So I may actually save it for after QMAG, when my plan is to take a week or 2 off streaming, so that I don't have to constantly drag it back and forth. And I can just record a few things and then edit it and put it together. So that's the first issue. The second is I would need to potentially do some more tech wizardry learning, because there's an app that I use to track the games. It's a really good one. It's called Scribe, Kingdom Death Scribe. Very good product, by the way, when you eventually get your game. I recommend using it. Allows you to track all your characters and all the information about your characters and etc. And your settlement. So since I use that and I don't do it by paper, I would like to be able to sync up that app so that I could put that on the screen. See you, Dracos Infinitus. Yes, I'm also going to head off now, friends. So that's a pretty cool day's work. We'll keep finishing her off tomorrow night, and or maybe later on this afternoon. I'll start Sepsimus, the last guy. So let's find someone to raid. I feel terrible. Hello, Nalind. How are you? You absolute champion. I know. You guys are all champions, and I was just about to go raid someone else. How terrible. Well, look, let me just gibber for a little bit about this. I was just going to start raiding, but we'll just have a talk about these friends that I'm painting at the moment. They're from Warhammer Underworlds, and they're, dudes. Just dudes. Neither of them are finished. I'm making my way through doing bits and pieces. Oh yeah, I'll show my Camelot video. That's an easy one. Here you go. This is a little video of a diorama that I made. Michael Gary Scott. Oh yeah, follow Topulus. Good call. Yep. And everyone should follow Topulus. This guy's agreed to do a hot tub stream with his missus painting toy soldiers if he gets to 100 followers. Let's go. You said it on fucking camera, mate. I was there when you said that. Thank you, Math Ms. Jar. Welcome. That's my diorama that I did. Thank you. Yes, it was a lot of fun to do that. I did most of that on my stream. All my videos are uploaded to my YouTube channel, so if you want to go back and watch pretty much every model on that diorama be painted, you can. I don't think I did any I might have done a little bit of base stuff on there. Thanks, Scarlet Saint. But anyway, this is what I'm working on at the moment. These dudes from Warhammer Underworlds. Nothing is finished. Not really sure how much work I'm putting into these guys. It feels like I've been doing a lot of stuff on them that I wouldn't normally do because I love these models. I think these could be the best Underworlds warband they released, maybe. I'm not sure, but they're fucking awesome. So, but yeah, we'll just keep chipping away on these in the next few days. Here's my giveaway for this month. This guy can win this dude on my giveaway. Crimson Court could win. It'd be them, Crimson Court, maybe the Wood Elves, maybe those. I've painted all my favourite ones. Put it that way. The Wood Elves, the High Elves, the Stormcast, Spellcasters. Yeah, this guy's giveaway this month. You can win this dude by subscribing. Yeah, he's very big. Just in case you're not sure on the scale, here you go. He's a giant. Daniel Bode, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. This is what I'm going to paint next. It's a Roman tribune from Young Miniatures. Oh, thanks, Math. Yeah, so this guy's pretty cool. I'm going to try and do a pretty high quality job on him. It's a great sculpt, absolutely fantastic sculpt, and I love Young Miniatures models. So I did, yeah, the flap turned up. Yeah, I got both flaps. A left and a right at long last. So what I initially was going to do was glue them on, but what I decided to do, which makes me waiting pointless, I filled in the heads stuff with putty, the gaps are in the head, and then I'm just going to glue these on afterwards after I've finished painting the face, so I can get get to all the bits on the face. I don't want to miss any parts. This model, it's a really good model. Yeah, sure. We'll probably be starting if I'm if I keep going at the rate I'm going, I think we'll probably start this guy on next week's stream on Sunday. That's my guess. We'll start him. Yeah, we'll keep those off. But look, I mean, just, you know, look at the detail on the hand here. See if I can. Just look at the sculpt there. Yeah, it's so great. The leather strap, you can see a little texture on the leather strap. It's brilliant. Young Miniatures do some of the best sculpts. Just even the fabric, you know, look at the folds of the fabric's really nicely furrowed and detailed. So yeah, we're going to try and do some non-metallic metals on this. No, it's not a 3D print, it's a sculpt that I purchased from a manufacturer. I could cop that, mate, because I'm planning on spending more than 4 hours of this, and I'm not bored. All right, here's what happened. I'm hungry. I'm very hungry, and I was just about to raid someone because it's fucking Deno's lunchtime, and the wonderful Nalind came in and raided me instead, and so now here I'm about to eat my arm off because I'm that fucking hungry, but I'm like, I'm going to do the right thing, look after all these wonderful people that have joined, and we'll do a bit of talking and chatting about models. I will eat something, yes. I get very hungry. My girlfriend, she will literally fucking throw food at me when I get angry, so I'm making a big deal. I'm not really that hungry, I'm having a joke, but yeah, it's okay. I'm having a great time. She throws food at me. She made me breakfast yesterday. It was great. Some croissants. I had a good time. Yeah, when's your hot tub stream, Anna? We've nearly got Topolis to 100 followers, mate. So look out. You agreed. You were live on there, and you said you would do it when we got to 100. So we've nearly got you there, mate. Topolis agreed to it. You agreed to it. Let's happen. Thanks, Scarlet Saint. This, I think, will start next Sunday because it will take probably tomorrow's stream to finish these two, I think, and then we can do this guy on Wednesday night. This guy should be the most fun of them all. Just fix up that focus. This guy's going to be my favourite one to paint. Yeah, do you actually have a hot tub, Topless? You're going to have to buy one. You better get some fucking subscribers before you start spending money on hot tubs and so forth. Ah, excellent. We'll just set your laptop up there. Thank you, Adakim92. That is what we've done in the last two streams. These two chaps. Well, this one's a chick, I think, and this one's a chap. Thank you. Yes, I did indeed paint these, Sir Marks-a-Lot. I painted these indeed. This one was done on my Wednesday night stream, and this one was done today. My stream that I've done today. I like them so far, but my problem with the two is this green skin tone is a little bit too close to this this outfit, and I was trying for that not to be the case. I was trying to use some different yellows and greens, so we may actually skew that more towards blue soon. And just add some blue tints instead of the green. And then I need to add the rust and stuff. Yeah, these are great models. These are great models. Probably not even. I'm probably not going to give these away on my stream either. I'm probably going to try and sell these ones. Because these feel like they're going to turn out to be some of my best work, and I like them, and I shall sell them. Well, the last few Underworld warbands I've given away, I gave away the Crimson Court, the Vampires. Anna, into your question, I sell everything I paint, and there is a huge market for it. There's a lot of collectors in the world that like collecting painted models. I've got a collection of painted models which I've shown off on stream before. I would say that there's not a lot of people out there wanting to buy substandard average models unless they're for gaming purposes. So you do have to have either an extremely high skill level or a presence, social media presence, etc., to be able to sell your products. He's not too bad. The trick is getting your foot in the door, right? You got to have your models showcased in a lot of different areas so that you can expose your work to a variety of different buyers. I mean, I've got buyers now pretty much all across the world, in China, in Europe, in America, some in Australia. Yeah, the trick is just continuing to build your brand and your presence around the fact that that's what you want to do, is sell painted models. And I've tried not to be a dickhead about it. Like, you see some people just going, I can buy this, like banging about all their models all the time. And I'm sure that works, but my approach has just been to try and let my work do the talking and build my brand that way, so that people are exposed to my work. And it's a good idea, Krugy. That's worked for me. So it's been 5-6 years since I've been doing display painting, and I wasn't intending to sell models when I started it. My first request came after about 12 months of doing display models, and it was from a lovely dude in China who ended up buying a whole. You're right, Nalind. See you soon, champion. I'll raid you back next time I see you online. I owe you one. I think you've raided me a couple of times now. I don't think I've caught you. I've only caught you once, so I'll get you soon. So to answer the second question, which was from Sir Marks-a-Lot, around how much they would sell for, it does depend on the painter. It does depend on the market, like how much people are willing to spend. Generally, my work, I average about $250 to $400 US dollars for a model that I've painted. I'm very quick. I tend to be cheaper than a lot of other miniature painters. If I was to sell this, for example, I'd probably try and sell it for about 400 US. All of my prices include shipping. So yeah, this one would probably go for about 400 US, including shipping. And there's probably about 10 hours worth of work. And I'll send you a message later and tell you how much I sold Camelot for, and you'll fall off your chair. I do a lot of dioramas, a lot of bigger pieces. For a warband like this, we're probably talking around that same sort of mark, to 250 to 400. My pricing, I usually base it on an hourly rate of about $40 an hour, $30 to $40 an hour, plus the cost of models, plus the cost of shipping. So these models cost me $50. I've spent about 5 hours on him, roughly. So it'll be about 15 hours worth of work maybe on these chaps. So not everyone does it that way. Not everyone prices their stuff the same way. And you reach a point with trying to sell models where you have a cap where people just go, that's too expensive. And that's the challenge. There's also a real issue in the commission and industry in general, which is, and it's people undervalue their own effort and their own work. takes a lot of time and hours to be able to paint models and learn the skills and so forth, and people don't value that correctly. So you'll have people willing to do stuff for a lot cheaper than probably they should, and it comes down to they need the money, and so they need to get paid, and so they do it for cheaper than they should, which unfortunately drives the market expectation down and has a lot of people thinking that works should be cheaper than what they are. So I've not had a problem. I've not had a problem selling a piece for 3 years. Every time I post a work on my Instagram, I'll usually have a buyer within the first 24 hours, which is something I feel very, very lucky for that to be the case. On occasion, I don't sell one for a month or 2 months, but there's usually people that I've been introduced to my art, and they're like, "Oh, have you got any works available at the moment? What have you got?" And there's usually 1 or 2 pieces. Like, for example, the Crusader is the only one I've got at the moment that I haven't sold. Every now and then, if I've got a few pieces that haven't sold for a while, I'll do an Instagram stories post where I'll say, "Hey, this is for sale, this is for sale," and they usually sell. So it really is a challenge for miniature painters, because there's a massive amount of skill involved in a lot of the stuff you see, and some of the stuff that you see from people is absolutely unbelievable. Like, it's top tier art. And then I've bought some of the pieces in my cabinet where I've been like, you should be charging more for this than you are, because you are one of the best painters in the world, and you're charging the same price as I am, and that's not correct. But again, there's things like, so a lot of great painters live in Poland, right? The cost of living in Poland is fucking nothing. So if I sell a piece for $400 US, right, that's not even like 2 days worth of my actual salary in my real job. I get more than that for 2 days worth of work. For someone selling their work in Poland, right, if they get 400 US, that's like a month's salary for them in a lot of cases in Poland. So, there's that aspect of it where, it's just, there's so many factors to it. So my advice, if you're looking to try and sell, is focus on building up your brand, focus on building up your skill set, promote yourself and the work that you do. Don't actively try and sell people. I don't know, my prices are fixed. This is how much I charge. This is that's it. But certainly I do adjust my prices based on if it's a person who's bought from me before. I'll usually do them for cheaper, because they've supported me. I've got a couple of people who've bought a lot of my models. One of my friends from China bought, I don't know, like 100 figures I've painted in about 2 years. But he was buying as a part of a group of people that were collectors. So he distributed those out to a variety of people. I don't sell to people in Poland cheaper. I have my price, and if people want to pay that, that's up to them. But people in Poland that paint their models, they might price their models cheaper than I would, because they're for them the cost of living is so much cheaper. So no problems. My experience with selling models has been fantastic. I don't have people stuffing me around that much. Sometimes people go, "How much is this?" It's probably out of my price range, but I just want to know. And I tell them, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, that's cheaper than I expected," or "It's out of my price range," whatever. But yeah, my experience has been really positive every time. In the last few years, I've sold a model. I've had no issues with payment, no issues with anything, and I tend to box my models up and send them off pretty quickly, because the art community isn't always as consistent when it comes to that type of thing. I've been painting for about 25 years, but only this type of painting for about the last 3 about the last 5 to 6 years. So I just realised that we're looking at nothing but my face. I should fucking change my thing so you can see my face, my full face in the picture, but no one really wants that, do they? So I can swap these two things. I'll have to get Flick to show me how to do that. And actually, I didn't initially intend on selling my work. My Instagram profile had about 100 followers, which was all my friends. And I started posting miniatures on there. And I got to 1,000 and I was like, woohoo! I gave away one of my models for 1,000. For 1,000 followers, I just gave one away. And then suddenly things just started exploding on my Instagram. And I had a number of people message me about buying previous models that I'd painted. So I started selling my work about 12 months after I'd really focused on display painting and focused on my I got a head like a drop pie, mate. That's okay. So I feel really lucky the way that things have gone, and this isn't my career. I don't need to sell models for a job. I do it for a couple of reasons. One, because the speed I paint, if I hadn't sold my models, there'd be fucking way too many models sitting in my cabinet. Fucking way too many. So I'm lucky that I've sold them. Probably more like 3 or 4 years now I've been selling them. And then the second reason is it's a cool feeling when someone appreciates the work that you've done from the perspective of the art. I do play a lot of games. I mean, I've just the last few streams I actually was painting a board game from Games Workshop called Curse City, which had 60 models. I painted those just for myself. I've got heaps of board games that I've painted the models for. Kingdom Death, I've painted all the models for, and so on. So, yeah, if you want to sell models, price yourself at a range that is reflective of the effort that you've put in. Don't undervalue just to sell stuff, because short-term gain will result in long-term pain for you, because you're setting yourself up to be doing work for that price all the time. So value yourself correctly, if it's at all possible. I do have the opposite problem, yeah, and that's a challenge, right? With painters, that there's a need to sell because they need money, so if you can at all possible price your work appropriately, do so. But at the same time, I don't judge people for doing things cheaply. If they've got to feed their families, they've got to, if that's their career, what they need the money for. But yeah, it's a problem that you're creating for yourself. Hey, Dodo, how are you, mate? Yeah, and then the second piece of advice is just focus on letting your work do the talking for you. I think you're less likely to sell. Yeah, I have absolutely no concern around selling products. If I don't sell them, that's no problems at all. They sit in my cabinet, and they're cool models and cool experiences I've had that I get to look at. It's not a job for me. I do it for fun, and I'll continue to do it for fun. Yeah, and it's not a place that everyone gets to be at with this hobby, and that's a shame. But yeah, it's if you can reach a point where you can enjoy it for the enjoyment itself, then that's when you can be passionate about it and have a lot of fun while you're painting. And this is a relaxing thing for me. I've talked a lot about this in the past. I won't go too much into this, but yeah, this is the way I escape from frustration and pressures and enjoy it. And I'm just very, very fortunate that it's also resulted in me being able to sell my work. And what I've generally done with my profits he's bought my models. Like that's pretty much everything that I sell. I was like, yes, I'll go buy this model now. So it's just funding the addiction even more. So I've got heaps of models over there to paint. But yeah, it is the dream, Topolis. It is the dream indeed. I could 3D print. I don't want to learn that skill set. It is, yeah, it is, Dodo. Yeah, it's the new Redgrass palette. We're giving it a try. We gave the membranes a try, the new membranes, and I'm going to do a review on my Instagram soon, promoting this product that I think is quite a good product. So, yeah, in terms of 3D printing, it's not really something I'm looking into at the moment. I have plans down the track to learn how to 3D sculpt. I've done a little bit, not enough. And sculpt my own models to paint. That's my eventual goal, but that's a long way off the track at the moment. I've got to get good at painting first. Friends, great work, great chats. Hopefully that little insight into my mindset and approach has helped. Feel free to join me tomorrow night for Party Monday, where we can continue this conversation if you would like. Let's find someone to raid. Whom can we raid? Miss Jaina. You know, literally, I would have been fucking off here 40 minutes ago, if not for another raid. But I'm very excited about eating some food. Let's go raid Benny. He's a superstar. We all love Benny. Let's go raid Benny. Also Australian. Lovely man. Highly recommend him. Pretty good painter. Bit of a dickhead. Yes. On your friends. You're all amazing. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow night on Party Monday. Enjoy. Have a great day, night, morning, etc. wherever you are.
The full orange, it was quite distracting from little gnome, and you couldn't really tell what the focus of the piece was. So that's when this sort of gradient colour idea came to me. Oh, fucking Christ. Hello, friends. Come on in. Thanks for the raid. You know, you're a fucking legend. But come on in. Sit down. We're about to be painting some eggs. Thank you for the follow. Who followed me? Bill Dipperly 1. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. What's the app you're using to shoot camera? So I use OBS Streamlabs, friends, and there's an app for that on my iPad, and I just use that to switch angles. I also have fucking too many webcams like an idiot. Did Gandalf have a middle tooth? He may have. Show some of your work. Alright, let me show you some of my work, friends. 1 second. Oh, thank you for the